In Gather Together in My Name, Maya Angelou shared one of the lowest periods when she served as a pimp for 2 prostitutes and sometimes worked as a prostitute herself. She said of this experience, if you happen to fall into that sort of experience, what you have to do is forgive yourself. If you're in the very gutter, see where you are and admit it. As soon as you admit it, you can be like the prodigal son, the prodigal daughter. Get up and go home, wherever home is. Get up and go to a safe place, some place where your spirit is not kicked and brutalized, and your body is not misused and abused. Get up. But you can't get up unless you see where you are and admit it. We usually speak of the text that we read this morning as the story of the prodigal son. The story has become so familiar for some of us that it has lost its ability to offend us, to speak to us, to challenge us. We've handled this story so much that, as one commentator said, it's become like the Velveteen Rabbit. You remember the story, don't you? It's lost its eyes and its whiskers and a lot of its stuffing to the place that it conforms to the arms of whoever picks it up. But I want us to look this morning, this is not just the story of one prodigal, one extravagantly wasteful son. It's the story of 3. And of course, there is the story of the younger son, right? He just can't wait till daddy dies to get his inheritance. And despite the insult to his father, he says, he really says this, I wish you were dead. And in spite of that, daddy gives him his inheritance. And this younger son runs off to some place like first century Las Vegas. Unrestrained, lavish, wasteful, recklessly extravagant, immature. You add some more to that description. As the younger son, he receives 1/3 of his father's estate. He takes it and spends it wastefully. He wastes not only material wealth, he wastes relational wealth. He declares his independence and cuts himself off from his very foundation, his family, and he says, I can do it alone. I don't need the help of family. I don't need the help of a loving father. I don't need the help of a community. If you've ever had a 2-year-old, you know what I'm talking about, right? And this sin has been around for a long, long time. Now, some of us may be uncomfortable with the word sin, but it simply means to be and do less than God created us to be and do. I'm on that list. My guess is you are too, because there was only one not on that list, and we crucified him on a tree. Sin means that we fall short of God's intentions for us. If you remember, that's the sin of the Garden of Eden. An old sin that's always taking new forms. I can do it myself. I don't need your help, God. I don't need the help of my church family. I don't need you. I can do it alone. Truth is, we just think we can. We know the story of the younger son. He couldn't do it alone. He came to his senses. He came to himself. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you came to your senses? The reality of your situation dawned on you, and you were willing to own up to your own culpability, your selfishness, yes, your sin, and move towards reconciliation in life because we are all less than what God created us to be. The younger son finally learns from his failure. Takes a while, has to hit rock bottom. You know, that's an important part of why we gather here on Sundays. To acknowledge that you and I cannot do it alone. That we need each other. We need a community of faith. It takes a community of faith village to raise us. I'm amazed at family with children trying to raise them in this dangerous, dangerous world and trying to do it alone. Once had a woman in my office. I asked her about the faith development of her children. And she said, "Oh, I'm going to let them decide for themselves." And I wanted to say, oh, so they get to decide for themselves whether or not they go to school, when they eat, what they eat, when they go to bed, on and on. Come home. Come home, younger son. Whatever you've done, whatever you have failed to do, come home. Yes, he's wasteful. And you know what? He still lives among us and in us. What a waste. But he's not the only prodigal. There's the older brother. The older brother is wasteful, so wasteful, he wastes relationships. He wastes the opportunity. It's right under his feet to live in right relationship with those around him. Did you notice the text? He refers to his brother as this son of yours. Not this brother of mine. And in verse 29, he refers to himself as a slave, denying his relationship with his father as son. My guess is we're more like this brother than the younger one. Ernest T. Campbell, pastor of Riverside Church in New York City in the 70s and 80s, said that the problem with Christianity, with American Christianity, is that we have a loving parent gospel in an elder brother church. Did you hear that? We have a loving parent gospel in an elder brother church. That hurts. What a waste! What a waste! The older brother makes the mistake of thinking that we have to earn grace. But grace, by definition, cannot be earned. What a waste to end up like the older brother. You remember the problem of the Grinch, don't you? You remember the problem of the Grinch in Dr. Seuss's story, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas? His problem was his heart was 2 sizes too small. What a waste if we get confused about relationships and try to live with small hearts in a world that cries out for large, loving, wasteful, merciful hearts. The older brother has been utterly responsible. He's behaved well. I understand his anger, don't you? Jesus' story doesn't tell us whether or not he came into the house. Most of the older brothers don't. After all, the younger son came home to live off his brother's inheritance, the 2/3 that was left. The younger son had already wasted his. The older son usually exhibits angry self-righteousness that takes him so far away from his father that he might as well have been feeding the pigs in a far country. Barbara Brown Taylor maintains that the older brother wasn't incensed by the younger brother's return or even by his father's forgiveness of him. But for goodness sakes, the celebration? Let him come home. But for goodness sakes, surely he has to work hard to make amends. Certainly no party, no fatted calf, no robe, no ring. That's over the top. That's not fair. That's not right. How can this son of yours ever learn responsibility if he's not given the opportunity to learn from his mistakes, if he never has to pay anything for his mistakes? I'm going to tell you another, if you'll excuse me, a Fred Craddock story. Fred told a story about the family up the street from where he and Nettie lived in Enid, Oklahoma. The couple had divorced, leaving 3 or 4 children. One of them was a prematurely mature young woman about 14 years of age, truant from school, into drugs, into trouble, before the judge frequently, and finally, the judge sent her to a detention home for girls. About the 4th or 5th month that she was there, she gave birth to a baby. She was 15 at the time. Word in the neighborhood came several months later, she's coming home. Will she have the baby with her? Is she really coming back to our neighborhood? The day she was supposed to come home, at least that was the word on the street, it seemed that everybody in the neighborhood had to get out and work in their yard. Had to mow their grass, had to trim. Fred said, I was getting down to where I was cutting one blade of grass at a time, about ready to give up. Always one eye on the house. And all of a sudden a car pulls up in the driveway. It's Kathy. It's Kathy. She's home. And she's got the baby. She brought the baby home. People run out of the house laughing, grabbing the baby, holding the baby, joking. They go in the house, and another car pulls up, and another, and another, and another. They begin parking in the street, and suddenly Fred got disturbed, anxious. Decided to need to go in the house. After all, what if one of them came over and said, Fred, Kathy's home, we're having a party. Would you and Nettie like to come over and celebrate? If you live next door, would you go to the party? It's way easier to preach about grace than it is to live it, right? It's easier to talk about it than it is to go to the party, than it is to live it, right? But living grace is what Jesus' disciples are called to do. After all, a good many of us in the room are the older brother, aren't we? Such extravagant grace, forgiveness, love, surprises, and offends. Come home, older brother. Come home. But then perhaps the most prodigal of all was the father. Wasteful in love and giving love and showering love on a boy that wishes you were dead. Loving a son who won't love his younger brother. But the good news is he doesn't love either son as they deserve, does he? Isn't that the picture we see from our loving God? What a waste. What a waste. Unless you see a brother or a sister, a loved one, a friend, as beaten, wounded, hurting, homeless, hungry, marginal, unless you see them as a human being, a brother or sister, created as a part of God's beautiful creation. What a waste, unless you want to experience life. The love of a father, the wasteful, extravagant love. He never seems to tire of giving his love away. So the question this morning is, which prodigal are you? My guess is there's a piece of all three of them in us. We waste relationships, we waste resources, but most likely, unlike the loving Father, we waste too little grace. The challenge that you and I face is to allow that piece of us that's like the loving Father to grow and grow in us until we become mirrors of that wonderful, extravagant, wasteful love. So what do you say? Come home. Come home. Ye who are weary, come home.